But it goes back to the crime. Clean neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods, and excellent schools. If you're not blessed with wonderful parents and good teachers, you're damn near doomed. Period. Wonderful parents and good teachers. If you have one wonderful parent, you're ahead of the game. If you got 4 or 5 really good teachers in a row, you're way ahead of the game. Period. So, so to stop the crime in Chicago, in these African American neighborhoods, is education, education, education. Everybody's, like I said, you see my shows and I'm just driving around. If you just get C's in the school, you'll be okay. The D's and F's are unacceptable. In my house, my children got a B. It was like it was an earthquake here. We didn't like B's at all. I mean, college is different. We all bets off in college. You know, just pass the class with A and B. But in high school and grammar school, we get a B. My children got a B. We was like, it was totally upset. I mean, we don't play that. It's not, no, no, right? So you can't let your children run around in the street. You got to teach them read. As a parent, a young parent, I was in my 30s as a young parent. I didn't read to my children. I didn't read to my children. I know I'm costing them maybe $1 or $2 million in lifetime earnings because of that. I did not read to my children. I knew that at the time, but I was lazy. I knew it. I'm not reading to my children. They were small. I put them in front of the TV with the videotapes of little animals and stuff, taught them how to read and stuff. But I didn't want to do it. But I knew I was costing them a few $1 million in lifetime earnings. So you have to make sure your children can read and write before they go to kindergarten, that's for sure. And you can't, you gotta let them have fun and chill. I understand that, but man, I wish you can. I never been inside the lab school. I've talked to children, young people who went to the lab school. I mean, Barack Obama's children went to the lab school. I ain't talked to them. Rahm Emanuel's children go to lab school. I ain't talked to them, but it's a really good school. And let me tell you something. If you ever talk to a young person, whether they're really little or a teenager who really went to a really good school, you like, damn, life is not fair. This kid is really brilliant. And they are so articulate because they went to a really good school with really good teachers who give them the academic rigor. It's all reading it's just a lot of reading, academic rigor. And they had peers who are academic. See, academic rigor is very important. Just like they say, if your kids, I mean, I talked about college before. Maybe I think I'll take a few months off next year. I don't know. Definitely January, February, and maybe March. But I would love to talk about getting your children through school, high school, then getting them through college. Because it's really hard. It takes money. It takes focus. And there's still no guarantees. Because, your children are grown. I remember my children, orientation, the college they went to, both the colleges they've gone to, they say your children are adults now. They're going to have to be, they are adults, and you got to start treating them like adults per se, but then it's catch-22. You have an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 17-year-old going to college. Yes, so one level they are adults, and two, they reptilian brain and the frontal lobes are not fully developed, and it's, come on. So it's a hell of a balance because most people I know who finish school were just really bright students, finished college. They're really bright, or their parents said, I'm kicking your butt. Like I tell my children, if you mess this up, if you F this up, we're paying for the school. You're going to come out of school with no debt. So if you are goofy enough, if you let your frontal lobe lead you astray and you drop out of college, you are a international, you're an ass, period. And they get mad at me, and I tell them, I'll kick your behind out you at the food. I may support you, I may subsidize your new apartment or get you a car or something, but I'll kick you out because you can't be grown in my house. And that's the number of problem with this crime in this neighborhood. I said this many, many times before. I don't even know how much time I got left. Damn, the show was almost over. These mamas, for good reasons, they baby the boys. Which I understand. I've coddled my children. I'm a helicopter parent. They had a book, a really good book out. I never read the book, but I saw the lady who wrote the book on DVD. And she talked about helicopter parents. I'm a $30,000 a year helicopter parent, right? And so the point is that, I understand about protecting your children, but these mamas and these grandmamas, they protect these young men way too much, and these old men. The problem in the black community is mainly the black woman protecting the black man. Her son, grandson, her nephew. See, back in the day, if you're in your 50s like me, or you're a little bit older, or maybe a little bit younger, you had to go to the military, you had to go to college, you had to go to work. There was no sitting around the house talking about, I'm going to hustle, I can't find nothing. You're going to have to volunteer. You see, that's our problem with our young men. The point is that, I mean, it's like if my son, if he couldn't find a job after college, we're going to get him a job. If he couldn't, you're going to volunteer. You're not going to sit around the house and do nothing. It's not going to happen. Talk to any man. I've talked to men and some women too who know what to do. They son sit on the couch watching TV and stuff. No. Get your behind out and find a job. I don't care if it's McDonald's or the Subway shop or at the gas station, a cashier. You are not going to sit around this house and do nothing. If you're gang banging and hustling, you got to go. Out. See, the women have the power. You know what the kind of power I'm talking about. They got the power to whip these men into shape, and they don't. Because just like me, anybody, I don't care if you're my age or whatever, you could always find some woman to lay up with. And you laid up with some woman, or you laid up there with your mama, your grandmama's house, your auntie house, and that's why the men, especially the black man, is so bad, because these women baby him. I understand why they baby him, but they really baby him. We got to end this crime. The show was on, the bell is going to ring, and the thing's going to cut off and everything. But it's really about clean neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods, excellent schools. It's about breaking the generational ignorance. We understand this racism and discrimination, and they brought the Mexicans up here to take the jobs from the black folks. I hear all that crazy stuff. I understand all that. But it's all about consciousness. It's all about belief. I have goals every year. In 2016, I have the same goal. Is to lose the 40 pounds and keep it off and stop eating junk food and fast food and fried food. And that's the goal. And of course, to double my income and to become self-employed. That's the goal every year for me. And I haven't done it because of my belief system and my consciousness. And I try to do it myself instead of getting professional help or a group environment that's going to help me. Because you can't do this yourself. If you have a kid in grammar school, 3rd or 4th grade, and can't read and write, he cannot change this by himself. It takes a group effort. Psychologists, psychiatrists, good teachers, mentors. That's the only way. That's what, I don't care if you're 53 like yours truly, or you are 13, or 23, or 33, or 3 years old. You cannot become successful all by yourself. I've tried. It doesn't work. So you have to have help. You cannot do this by yourself. And it's really about consciousness too, especially when you're an adult. It's about consciousness. Everything I have, everything I've done, everything you have, everything you've done is a reflection of your consciousness. It's a practice. It takes time, and you may not ever get there, but you have to work at it. It's consciousness. That's all it is. It's your belief. See, you believe in God and you give 10%. I know these black women giving $5,000 and $10,000 a year to their church, right? And our neighborhoods are falling apart. This is insane. No, that's a whole other story. But I'm saying it's really about, it's about consciousness. We have the money. We have the brain power. We have the collective brain power. So we can do this. All right? I'll work on myself. I'll work on doubling my income and losing 40 pounds and keeping it off. And stop eating fast food and junk food and all that kind of stuff. And what was the other one? And become self-employed at some point. Well, we'll work on that. I'm working on that. And also we have to work on clean neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods with excellent schools. Clean neighborhoods, this is in the so-called Negro community. You know how we are. We hate each other because we got the rich and poor and the lighter-skinned blacks and the dark-skinned blacks and educated blacks and the blacks with money, blacks that got no money. We have all this craziness. That's why we have so much trouble. And a person like me come in your midst, or somebody like me, or me, just me, come in your midst trying to break the generation of ignorance. Y'all say, y'all ain't nothing. But just like I told you about my children, I would love to come in the classroom. I'm going to do this in one of my dreams. Come in the classroom with hundreds of dollars in my hand. And I would tell the students in a low-income African-American class, grammar school, high school, I said, I have hundreds of dollars in my hand, stacks of money, but I cannot give this money to you because of your consciousness or some of your classmates' consciousness. Because if I give you these hundreds of dollars, somebody's going to fight, somebody's going to get killed, somebody's going to get angry. It's going to get ugly if I just give you the money. And I have the money to give, but I can't give it to you because of your consciousness. Do you understand that? Like I told you earlier about my children. I'm paying, 50, 60 grand a piece to send them to college. But if I gave them 50, 60 grand, $50,000, $60,000 right now, either 10 grand a year for 5 years or whatever, 5 or 6 years, 10 grand a year, 5 or 6 years or whatever, they will probably blow it, a mismanagement, because at their state of their consciousness, their current state of consciousness. So what I'm saying is that we need people who are going to raise the consciousness of the community. We got enough preachers, politicians, and potentates who've been hoodwinking and bamboozling the stupid masses, because they are stupid. That's fair, they are. And you try to raise their consciousness, and the best way to raise it with the children. Forget about you adults. Most of you adults are done. I understand that as an adult. But trying to raise the consciousness of the children. Because all the money you need is there. All the success you want is there. But it's all about your belief system, your mindset, your consciousness, your attitude. And that means at some point you're going to have to distance yourself from you don't totally, sometimes you have to, distance yourself from your friends and your family. And go beyond your friends and family. That's why I send my children away from out of Chicago. They only gone like 2-3 months at a time. Ain't no big deal. But send them away from Chicago to see the world outside their old neighborhood. To get away from my crazy behind 8 months out of the year. They've been fortunate enough because we had this raggedy house, we're allowed to travel. They've been coast to coast. I mean Vancouver and Seattle and Miami and highs of Boston, Massachusetts. So they've seen the country, grown up as kids, coast to coast. To let them know there's a world outside this house and this neighborhood, and to raise their consciousness. So I don't care if it's your children, my children, grandchildren, raise their consciousness. The show is over. It went by so fast. It's about raising your consciousness. So hopefully I'll do mine and you do yours, and we'll raise the collective consciousness of the community and stop this crime. Clean neighborhoods, safe neighborhoods, and excellent schools right here in the ghettoized, the hood African American community. You cool with that? All right. Happy New Year. I wish you great success. And remember, whatever thought, plan, or goal, or ideal that you hold continuously in your mind must inevitably come into your reality. Brian Tracy, the motivational speaker, I heard him say this years ago on a cassette I got around the house, a little cassette from the library. He said, whatever thought, plan, goal, or ideal that you hold continuously in your mind must inevitably come into your reality. He's right. It's truly true. If you believe and raise your consciousness, and like me, change my funky attitude, change attitude. Happy New Year. I wish you success in 2016.